Imagine commanding armies that stretched across continents. With every decision you made reshaping history itself, from the sun-soaked battlefields of Greece to the icy peaks of the Alps. These warlords weren't just warriors. They were legends. Today, we're diving deep into the lives of 8 of the most fearless military leaders from Antiquity and the Middle Ages. Stick around until the end, because one warlord's final move will change how you think about conquest forever. Alexander the Great. Even as a young man, he was destined for greatness. By the time he was 30, he had created one of the largest empires in history, stretching from Greece to India. But how did he do it? With more than just sheer force. Alexander's revolution in warfare came through his brilliant use of the phalanx formation, tight infantry lines backed by cavalry that could crush opponents with precision. This tactic allowed him to win against overwhelming odds, including at the Battle of Gaugamela, where he shattered the much larger Persian army. But Alexander wasn't content with just winning battles. He spread Hellenistic culture, influencing art, governance, and philosophy across the lands he conquered. Most leaders command from behind, but not Alexander. He led his troops from the front lines, inspiring loyalty that knew no bounds. His conquests may have come to an end, but the ripple effects of his empire shaped the world for centuries to come. Now, shift your focus to the windswept steppes of Mongolia. Genghis Khan, the warlord who created the largest contiguous empire in history. He didn't just unite the Mongol tribes. He changed the very fabric of global power. But it wasn't just his ferocity that made him legendary. It was his strategy. Genghis Khan perfected psychological warfare, using feigned retreats to lure enemies into deadly traps. His forces, moving swiftly on horseback, could cover vast distances in record time, leaving enemies blindsided. But Genghis wasn't just a destroyer. He was a builder. He fostered trade along the Silk Road, creating an empire where East met West in a thriving exchange of culture and commerce. Genghis Khan's rule was brutal, yes, but it was also a catalyst for the rise of modern geopolitics. Next, Julius Caesar, the Roman general who expanded the Republic's reach and ultimately paved the way for the Roman Empire. His conquest of Gaul turned Rome into a powerhouse, dramatically increasing its wealth and territory. But it was one fateful decision that would define his legacy. In 49 BC, Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, igniting a civil war that forever changed Rome. His daring gamble paid off, and Caesar became the first dictator of Rome. One of his most brilliant military feats, the Siege of Alesia. Caesar built 2 walls, one to keep the Gallic forces trapped and another to fend off reinforcements, showcasing his unmatched brilliance in warfare. Though assassinated by those who feared his power, Caesar's influence remains, including through his introduction of the Julian calendar. Let's switch gears to one of the most feared men in history, Attila the Hun, known as the Scourge of God. His very name sent shivers down the spines of Romans. Attila led devastating campaigns across Europe, threatening the very existence of the Roman Empire. His secret weapon? Fear. Attila wielded terror like a sword, demanding tributes from Rome to avoid destruction. But he wasn't just a brute. He was a cunning diplomat, playing his enemies against each other. Though he was finally stopped at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, his legend as one of the most feared warlords of antiquity remains. Now, picture a massive army crossing the treacherous Alps, war elephants leading the way. This was the audacious strategy of Hannibal Barca, one of the greatest military minds in history. Hannibal shocked Rome by bringing the fight to their doorstep during the Second Punic War. At the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal executed one of the most brilliant ambushes in history. He encircled a larger Roman force and crushed them, a tactic still studied in military academies today. Though Hannibal never captured Rome, his campaigns forced them to rethink their strategies, leaving a lasting impact on warfare that's felt even now. But let's not forget Saladin, the man who united Muslim forces and recaptured Jerusalem from the Crusaders. Known not just for his military brilliance, but for his chivalry, Saladin changed the game at the Battle of Hattin, where he delivered a crushing blow to the Crusaders. Yet Saladin's greatest strength wasn't just his ability to win battles. It was his ability to command respect. After retaking Jerusalem, he allowed Christian pilgrims safe passage, and his interactions with Richard the Lionheart during the Third Crusade were marked by mutual admiration. Saladin's legacy endures not just for his victories, but for his diplomacy and fairness in a time of war. Let's move to Charlemagne, often called the father of Europe. Charlemagne's military campaigns expanded the Frankish Empire, creating the foundation of what would become modern France and Germany. His vision wasn't just territorial. He sought to revive the Roman Empire in the West, and in 800 AD, Pope Leo III crowned him Emperor of the Romans. But Charlemagne wasn't just a warlord. He was a reformer. His support for the Carolingian Renaissance helped bring about a cultural and intellectual revival in medieval Europe. Through a combination of military strength and political savvy, Charlemagne set the stage for European politics for centuries. Finally, we arrive at William the Conqueror. In 1066, William's forces crossed the English Channel and won the Battle of Hastings, forever changing the course of English history. His victory wasn't just a military one. It reshaped English culture, governance, and law. William introduced feudalism, a system that restructured England's society. He also commissioned the Domesday Book, a comprehensive survey of his new kingdom. By consolidating power and building castles throughout the land, William solidified his control and transformed England into the nation we recognize today. These warlords didn't just win battles, they forged empires, reshaped cultures, and defined the course of history. Each had a unique strategy, but all shared one thing: fearless leadership. And if you're as captivated by these stories as I am, trust me, there's so much more to uncover. Hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss the next chapter in our journey through history's greatest military minds.